Hi, my name is Mark Anthony Dubose Jr. I was born July 4th, 1986. I want to say thank you. Thank you again. And thanks again. I truly appreciate every single person that watches. Oh, even just, you can get to that point, you can go away. I just thank you for being here, for giving me a chance and listening to what I have to say. Some of y'all really go really far with listening to everything that I say, and I'm greatly appreciative of that. And I don't want to say it makes me feel good or it makes me feel bad. It just puts me in a place of knowing that something needs to be said, and some people just want to hear it. And regardless if I'm right or wrong, you still want to hear it. And that's what I truly, YouTube is kind of weird with trying to censor and trying to put their narrative, what they only want, and all that. But I truly believe that we all should be able to hear, see, witness, experience what we want to experience, and not let somebody say that that's not allowed and you shouldn't this and you shouldn't that. We all should be able to experience what we want to experience, because that's the only way in reality that, I use a weird language right now, but that's the only way that you can find yourself. You can find where it is you want to go, find it is what you want to be able to do. If you're always listening to what someone else says that you have to and you have to, you're not going to be living your life. You're going to be living the life of somebody else. And that's what I really want a lot of people to think about when it comes down to, just say, I'm going to talk dogs again. Come down to your dog. You got to live your life with your dog. The problem today is there's all these people that try to come in and try to tell you what you need to do, tell you how it needs to look, tell you what the standard is, tell you all these things. Your standard and their standard is different. You and them are different. You and your dog are different. This is where some things get complicated when you have certain dogs in your house. It's like, this is why this might sound weird. It's going to sound super weird, but hear me out. That's why sometimes the concept of fostering a dog is the better way to go, to be able to, like, say, go on a date with the dog to see, like, are we compatible? Like, are we both lining up and wanting the same type stuff? And if we're not, just say, okay, I'm sorry, it's just we're not the one. Because I'm talking about a 15-year commitment here, and some dogs a 25-year commitment. Because sometimes you end up with that dog that you just can't stand. And unfortunately, that's the time that you have to start to change a lot about yourself to adapt to make this dog be what I want to say is a functioning, good contributor to society. So some people are just in a jam. And other people look at that as not a jam, but look at it as an opportunity for self-growth. And for me personally, I look at it as an opportunity of self-growth. Not a boo-hoo, look at me, look at my dog, look at this. It drove me into, I want to experience more, try new, try this and try that, to see what can I come up with, as opposed to what someone else is telling me how it should be and how it should look. I failed at life. And people tell me, Mark, you got to do it like that. I don't know why, but I was a born baby child already getting pushed back to everything. Math teachers telling me, you got to do the problem like this. And I'm like, what about that? I got the answer. I showed all the work. And they're like, no, you got to do it like this. You got to write the paper like this. But I'm like, I thought you gave me the freedom to be able to express the topic the way I want it to. No, you got to express it like this. I've always pushed at that. So I was always a CD student, CD student, because that's just my life. And I enjoy that, but I also can see that that can trouble some other people around with seeing and perceiving what it is that I'm doing, and perceiving that they know everything based on some superficial stuff that they see on the outside. But what's on the inside, that's what matters. And that's what I want most every single person. When you're, say, with the dog, you're struggling with the dog, you're getting a new dog, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. But the outside influence is going to come to you to tell you that you have no idea and you need them. And you can't possibly be able to get nowhere. You need them. And what unfortunately in most cases happens is you take that I need them and you end up worse. You end up even worse, and you end up way worse. Then you end up in a point that you just want to give up. But then you can't give up, because then society states another thing on you. You just can't quit on it. You got to, like, work through it. So the best case scenario that people do today is they just put the dog down. And they looking for people to give them that recommendation, to make it say, like, see, look, the expert, the professional over there told me to do it. But that's not what you wanted to do. And you're taking this advice and you're taking this leadership from other people that in reality, you don't even know. You see those things, but you don't know what's going on inside. You don't know what the deep down behind the scenes is. So for me, I'm never in my entire life going to say that I got everything figured out and my stuff's flawless and perfect. I'm never going to state that. I'm going to say I've got things that I'm constantly working on. I'm going to say that I got things that I'm a little confused sometimes, where I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure. I just keep working. I keep working. And I just don't quit. And that mindset of just not quitting, that's the mindset in my mind that really changes and distinguishes the difference between some people on this planet. Because some people just are happy and settle, and other people want to push more and want to do more. This is what I do. I push more, I do more. I do stuff that someone says can't be done. I test it and I challenge it and I make it happen, and I see what I'm going to be able to get from it. That's why a lot of stuff that I do, someone can say, Mark, it doesn't make sense. Why would I want my dog to this? Some stuff that I personally do is what I'm going to call is trainer skill. And it's got nothing to do with, do you actually want it? Do you actually need it? It's a matter of a skill. Do you have the skill to be able to do something? Or is your skill set only limited to sit down, shut up, don't speak, don't look, don't do nothing. You can't be nothing but just a body. Is that your skill set? Because to me, that's what I didn't really start in that skill set. I started with my border collie here, my Oreo, with already doing different stuff. But then my skill set turned into sit down, shut up, don't make a move, don't flinch, don't run, don't chase, don't look, don't eyeball, don't bark, don't nothing, just be a body. And I was very limited with what I was able to do because that, in my mind, was putting me to a level of settling, of saying this is it. But there's more. That's why I personally like dog sports. I don't like certain things and certain aspects because we're just driving some things in somebody's dogs, but I like the concepts behind it, that we're seeking to do more. We are desiring more. We're not just sitting around and just saying, oh, I'm good enough. No, we're seeking and pushing to constantly keep doing more and more. Getting different dogs to do different things with them, to seeking to keep doing more. And that's behind, I'm going to say, most every single one of us, but we don't express that because we're always listening to what someone else has to say or what somebody else is going to think. We limit ourselves. We stop ourselves because someone says, nope, it can't look like that. It needs to look like this. Say, who are you? Why can't it look like that? Why can't I have my stuff be this way? Why has it got to be like that? We're so influenced by what the world wants from us, as opposed to we don't take our own inside being to the core of what we want, what we desire. That's why most people on this planet today are struggling, hurting, damaged, destroyed, because you listened to what people had to tell you who you were and tell you what to do. Somebody at some point in your life told you were stupid, told you were dumb, told you were meaningless, told you were pathetic, told you were slow, told you were fat, told you were ugly, told you all these things, and you believed all of it. We allowed them to influence us into being who we are today. And it's challenging with what I want to say is something with, especially working with these dogs today, because the dog is poking holes at that fakeness that's inside of you, that fakeness that you really aren't. You really are somebody different. You really are who you are, but you're being something else because someone else and everyone else is telling you how you should be and what you should be. It's something I believe that struggles most people. That's why for me, the main, biggest message I will ever explain to anybody is forgiveness. They don't know what they were doing. They are a product of their environment. It wasn't them. Something drove them to do what they did. This is the thing with the dog. Again, they're a product of their environment. The dog is doing what it's doing based on who it's around. So we really need to think about that for a moment. So forgive yourself for if you see things looking wild and crazy. And forgive the dog, because the dog is just being a dog. Don't ever be mad at the dog. But something that I realized when it comes down to this forgiveness, there's things on, something I want to talk about and scratch on the little surface a little bit is the concept of bullies and being a bully. And what happens to bullies and the consequences of bullies. And the good things of bullies. There's some good stuff. Some people really, you can have that bully in high school that just kind of transforms their lives and pushes them into being a very completely different person. But other times the bully just destroys people and it's best to try to beat down and beat down and beat down. But most cases, that's why, again, forgiveness. What happens and what causes a bully to be a bully? Did they just wake up and say, I want to do this? No, something is going on to them that is hostile. That is both sides of it. Hostile in a way of being abused and that side, but also hostile in the sense of being neglected. A bully usually just doesn't come from what I would say is a healthy environment. A bully comes from a toxic environment. One that's either an extreme dictator, that's just force, or one that is just straight up not there. They're not around. They're not to be seen. They're just, so the kid just, in reality, gets what it wants, and it turns into just this self-righteous, self-centered, just egotistical little child that's just like, the world is mine, I can take what I want, and I don't need to ask, or I don't have no rules, and I can do whatever I want to do. So then they think they can do whatever they want to do to other people as well. And that's a neglected child is dangerous in reality. Very dangerous. That's some challenging stuff because they believe that they can have it all. and they could take what they want. They don't even need to ask you. They could just take it. This is the part that I want to talk about when it comes down to these dogs in reality, because think about these concepts here. Something that is overbearing, that is dictatorial, like in a sense of everything is structured in this order. There's no sense of freedom. There's no nothing. That's going to create a bully. So the bully that's going to come from that is the dog. The dog's going to be a bully. So that's why you got to keep fighting back at it. Because I've seen this. I mean, this is the part of, I would say, my life that I grew up in. And the say child or the dog, they're going to keep fighting back. They're going to fight back. They're going to fight back. They're going to fight back. And they may not fight back with, said, the parent, but they're going to start fighting back with everything else around them. They're going to start to need to control and start to manage and start to dictate and start to rule everything around them. And this side of it is something that, in my mind, is dangerous when it comes down to dogs doing this. Because the dogs, especially, if you're a single dog household, do what you do. But just keep your dog away from other dogs in reality. Because what your dog starts to do is it starts to control the other dog in the sense that it's going to dominate the other dog inside of your household. And someone might say, well, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And I'm going to say, in a household to be healthy, there's only one leader. And everyone has a voice, but there's going to be the leader that everyone is going to look to for when there's problems going on. The kids, the dogs aren't going to fight between each other to figure out something. They got to go to the leader. And the leader is going to be there to guide them to how to properly learn how to get through things and get through problems. And that's what I'm going to say is a solid leader. They're not going to allow the kids to just fight it out. If you grew up in a household like this, I feel for you. I feel for you. You had a fight with your brother. You had a fight with your sister just to get anything. You had to fight with them for attention. You had to fight with them for affection. You had to fight for them for everything. You had to fight your own brother or sister. That's going to lead someone to be just absolute disasters to the point that that fight might go so far. This is why you end up with a dead dog in the house, because the fight went so far. It went too far. And we didn't stop that fight. We didn't be the leader to come in and say, hey, don't do that. Then the other side of that, there's the ones that were neglected. And then they think, give me, everything is mine. Everything is mine. Everything is mine. Now that dog in that house is going to do, in reality, the exact same thing. It's going to take everything and consume everything. It's going to push the other one into the corner and say, it's all mine. It's going to control and dictate everything inside of that household. And again, at the same time, you're going to end up with a very hostile situation. Some dogs don't just accept to be bullied around. Some dogs will fight back. They may get bullied for a while, because this is the big thing. Multiple dog households. It didn't start today, the fight. It started a long time ago. And we did nothing about that fight, and we allowed it to keep happening. And now we are where we are. And the main thing is, the one dog will say, submit, roll, fold over at first for a while. But some dogs, most dogs, they stand up for themselves and they'll fight back. And when they fight back, that's when things start to get weird. And this is the same on both sides of that fight that I'm talking about. This is the weird thing about, well, I would say dog training doesn't belong in dog parks, because it kind of forces the dogs into these roles. It forces the dog to think it's okay to correct another dog. It forces the dog to think that it's okay to dominate another dog. And you'll say, oh, Mark, yeah, there you got your dogs dominating your livestock. Yes, that's what they were bred and created to do. Dogs weren't created and bred to dominate and submissive and control each other. They do that in a sense of survival. But once they're thriving under our leadership as a human being, they don't need to survive anymore. They need to stop, assess the situation, and listen to me, and I'm going to fix it for them. I'm going to guide them. I'm going to make sure that all their issues and all their problems are solved. But in the wild, you need to fight to survive, to stay alive. My dogs aren't trying to survive in the household to be able to get to a chance to, they're not surviving, they're thriving. They got fruit, they got free food, they don't have to work, hunt, do nothing for it. They got free fresh water, they got free amazing shelter, they got free safety. Most of your dogs are inside the houses. So this here is something that I want a lot of people to think about, because when you're really looking at what it is that you're looking at with certain people, it sounds like it's all pretty, it sounds like it's all fun. But being a bully is not pretty and fun in the end. It starts off kind of cool. It starts off kind of interesting. But what happens is when that bully meets its match for the first time, then where are we going to go? Then what's going to happen? Because then you're going to run into a very, very sticky situation. This is why for me personally, this is just my life and the way I see some things. I would never allow my dog to correct another dog. I would never allow my dog to dominate over another one of my dogs. I would never want my dogs to even do that to another dog, period, to get that other dog to think that it needs to also think about doing the same thing. That is hostile. That is what the word that I want to use here is going to be extreme, but that's evil. That's like creating a fight for no reason, just for your laughter, just for your satisfaction, just for you to just feel good. Like, look at that. You see that? Look how they told them what to do. Look how they told them off. I used to watch so many videos of people do this with their dogs, and it's a sick mindset behind that person. But I forgive you already because you are a product in your environment that is creating that again, that most people don't even realize like that's actually going on. They create fights. There's so many households that y'all are literally making your kids fight and you laugh about it. Look at you just told him off. Look how you just slammed the door on him. Look how he just did that and look how he handled that. And you laugh at it like it's cute and it's funny. This is the disaster of family units. This is the disaster of us as humans in reality. This disaster of, in my opinion, the start of all this disaster, straight up, is reward and punishment. It puts us into competition. It puts us to have to fight against each other to be able to live, to be able to survive, to be able to get the promotion, to be able to make the money, to be able to get the girl, to be able to do everything. It forces us to have to fight. And when you have to start to fight to get something, you will start to sabotage to get what you want faster. You'll start to lie and cheat to get what you want faster. You'll start to manipulate to get what you want faster. That's where things get real dangerous. And that's just what I see as a normal today. Very normal to just create this toxic environment and thinking like it's good. But the main thing is, in most cases, what's happening in that is you're running away from something and you're scared. That's why you have to exert your power over, because you're scared. You have to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it because you're scared. This is the thing that I really like about watching my colleague, because he puts the control on, but he lets it go instantly. He doesn't need to keep holding on to it and keep going and going and going and going and going. He says, hey, I put on what I need and I'm done and I'm finished. I'm going to walk away because I got what I'm looking for and we're done. He doesn't come back and try for more. He doesn't come back and do for more. He doesn't come back and keep pushing harder and keep pushing harder, keep pushing harder, keep pushing. That's what happens when you're in fear. That's what happens when you're scared. That's why some dogs this is why certain things, they shouldn't be doing certain stuff. They shouldn't be certain places. They shouldn't be around and experiencing certain things. Because if they're scared, they're going to do crazy things. They're going to do wild things. They're going to do stuff that is just life-changing. That's the perfect words to use. Very, very life-changing. And I notice that that's what humans do when they're lacking something, when they're missing something, when they're not. I don't want to use this word because it's not a right word, because no one's ever going to be perfect and complete and whole. But you're not whole. You're not healthy. You have this sense in you of, I got to fight everybody to be able to fill this lack in me. And if I don't fight with somebody, then I'm not going to be able to live. You run into this sense of, I'm gone, I'm done. I don't know what to do anymore with my life. And that's what happens to the bully in the end. When no one responds to the bully anymore, the bully goes away. The bully goes into isolation. The bully shuts down and the bully just disappears because he has no choice but to, because he needed to be that bully. He needed everybody to bow down to him. He needed to be able to push everybody's buttons. He needed to be able to try to influence his ways and only his ways on everybody. Everybody got to do what he does. Everybody. If you don't do what he does, the bully can't handle that. The bully shuts down. The bully starts to show out what he truly is, scared. That's what really is deep down behind what a bully is. That's why they have to exert their power, their confidence, their everything, because they're scared. Because if they find out who you actually are, then you're gonna feel this void of, and the word, what's a good word there? You're gonna start to feel insecure, and that feeling is tough. It's hard. It's scary to feel insecure. It's scary to be vulnerable. It's scary. It is. This is where I say make difference from a man to a woman. But being vulnerable as a man is like you'd rather just die than be vulnerable and admit it. You'd rather just die than just admit that you were wrong. You'd rather you're gonna completely try to do everything you can to run from it. But that to me is in the process of not growing. That is settling, saying I'm just gonna stay here instead of growing, pushing past it, pushing through it, doing what you need to be able to get yourself to realize my environment created this for me. So let me change myself up and my environment up to be able to get to a different place. Bullies create bullies. Bullies don't, for the most part. So I can't say all, obviously. People just, when you say all, it is what it is. But most all bullies create bullies. They don't create something that is going to be now a healthy, responsive, responsible being. it just creates another level of chaos. It creates another level of toxicity. And that's what, unfortunately, a lot of this stuff that people are trying to do and say and give to you is just another level of keeping more things toxic, but trying to put yours and you to be at the top so that everyone else below, you could just use and abuse and mistreat and dictate and do whatever you want to. And just creates you to not care about others, but only care about just what you see in that moment. Not caring about what's going on. Not caring about the unseen. Only caring about what you see. And if all you're caring about is what you see, you got a lot of self-growth to still keep working on. You got a lot that you still need to keep on getting experience with. You got a lot more training to do. You got a lot more books to read. You got a lot more getting your hands on and getting dirty type scenario. You got a lot more to still do. You got a lot more to still experience. If all you're worrying about is what you see, because what you unsee is what really matters. What's unseen, that's the part that the world is really truly made up of. It's not the world isn't made up of what's seen. What's seen is an illusion. It's fake. And most every single human being, what you see is fake. It's phony. It's not real. They're putting on a show. They're putting on a character to try to make you think about them a certain way, as opposed to that person just being vulnerable and just saying, you know what, I messed up. Being vulnerable and saying, you know what, I didn't do the best that I could. Being vulnerable and saying, I don't know. Being vulnerable and saying, you know, I'm trying, but I failed. Being vulnerable and saying, you know what, it's not going the way that I thought it was going to go. Being vulnerable and saying, you know what, I was wrong. I messed up. I'm a failure. I didn't get it. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where this is going. Being vulnerable and saying that. That's so hard. That's so hard to do. But that's the concept of being able to go through that, go through those feelings, be able to put that out for you to be able to grow, be able to get to that next stage in life, to get away from this, I got to punish you before you punish me type mindset. Because that's what happens to bullies. They got to punish you or else they will get punished. It's in their brain. That's all that's thinking about. I have to get at you because if I can't get you out of the way, then you might be able to do something and hurt or harm me. That's so sad to me. It's so sad, and it's an unfortunate circumstance that so many people are living this way right now. And a lot of people aren't even conscious and aware of it. But you'll be aware of it based on the people that are around you, the interactions that you have, the stuff that you got going on. That's how it's able to be seen. And I don't know why, but to me, it's easy to see certain things. Everybody wants me to be perfect, and I'm not going to be perfect for you. Everybody wants to judge and critique me, but there's nothing to judge or critique with me. I'm just living my life. But you have to do that when you feel threatened that someone else is doing something that may make you look not as important anymore. That someone else is threatening you in a way of making you have this sense of they're going to take everything from me. So you got to go deep. You got to go further. You got to go more. You got to may not be the right word, but it's the perfect word for it. You got to get passionate. You got to get into drive. You got to go more. You got to dig deep to try to get that person or get that thing or get whatever out. Because it can't be a competing motivator. It has to only be the one. That's what we do to these dogs. You can't allow your dog to have any sort of freedom. You have to control everything with it. You can't allow your dog to be able to express who it is, the dog that it is, because it scares you. Because you're nervous that it's gonna not want to listen to me. It's gonna run from me. It's gonna do crazy stuff. That's so silly to me today on how I used to think that way. It's so silly to me today of realizing and seeing how chaotic everything was. Whereas today it's creepy. It's creepy how I was getting frustrated for a little bit because I was like, stuff's getting loud out here again. But then I realized, no, stuff out there is not getting loud. Stuff here was getting loud because I was creating a toxic environment, just ruthless environment, an environment that if you're not the best, then you got to destroy the next to be able to be the best. The environment that I was raised in, the environment that all I know of is just you better outperform or you're going to be done. And some people, it goes deep. It didn't go so deep to me of it turns into a life or death situation. Some people literally are bullies because they think if they're not, they're going to die. Literally, like your life is going to end. Because you know why that happens? Because that feeling that comes inside of you, this is why for me, I'm always going to talk about dogs differently because I understand this personally and I see it with the dogs. It's the same thing. That feeling of that anxiousness that comes, Don't run from it, but go head first into it. But that feeling when it comes, it feels like death. It feels like you're gonna die. It feels like you can't breathe anymore. It feels like the air is just so thin. It's there, you can't function. It feels like your heart starts to pound and beat so much that you just spiral. And some people black out. Some people faint. All these things happen because you go into this sensation, and literally, if you faint or black out, you died. Your body literally went into overdrive that it had to do a system reset, and it had to shut down because you're going through all of these emotions and all this stuff because you're losing the control. You're losing all the aspects of what you thought was real. And when you realize it's not, it's an illusion that you've made up. It's an illusion that you need to be the best. It's an illusion that you're the only one. It's an illusion. That's an amazing movie. Jet Li, The One. Amazing movie. To talk all about all of this. It's such a good movie. You'll do anything to be the one. Anything to be the one. And to be the one is not in reality what anybody should ever try to be. You should try to be you. Just you. Get out of this, I got to compete with, but be you. Because the more that you think that you need to compete, especially, this is the thing that I'm going to say, this is strange to me. This is very weird to me. The whole the concept of competition. It's so childish to me. Competition. We're on the playground and we're trying to. My elementary, and middle school, they all it was fighting, like fist, hand to hand fighting, and it's all about competition. Who could beat up who? That's all that was like. That was the big thing. I don't know what they do in elementary anymore, but mine was hostile. mine was very hostile. And hold on. All right, Shadow, we good. Thank you. You can go home. And I like this dog. I don't know why I like this dog, but my hey man, off topic, lost a calf so he came yesterday, so the day before, to a dog, loose dog, neighbor's dog came up, killed his calf, and that's devastating. That's devastating, especially for a dog to take out a calf. That dog is going through something that. This is why I talk about what I talk about, because the dog didn't know how to deal with what's going on inside of it. It went straight to kill. Especially like a cow. That is so much rage. That is so much anger and frustration built up. Not allowed to be able to let that out. But just building and building and building, running away, avoiding it, and just not really just seeing that it's there and realizing it's real. You can't just run from it. That's why for me, it's the concept of all these things, especially with a lot of these bullies. That's what goes on with them. They have so much inside of them, and they need everybody to focus on them. And when they don't, and when anybody says anything that goes against what it is that they do, you got to take them out. They got to take them out. And unfortunately, some people will go deep. They will take them out. They're going to try to send them to the under earth. And that's very, very, very dangerous. But it all in reality comes down to just running away from the reality of life and trying to hide your feelings as if you don't have them, and just settling, saying, this is just what it is. I can't be vulnerable. I gotta be right. If I'm not right, then no one's gonna want to listen to me. No one's gonna want to be around me. You know what's crazy? I don't know why I never really thought about that ever with making videos, but I never in one single one of my videos ever said I'm right. In most cases, at least once a week, I say I'm working on some things and I'm in a progress of doing what it is I'm doing. And yet people want to listen, and a lot of people want to listen. And a lot of people are really just tuning in and really paying very, very close attention. Being vulnerable, that's real. I'm real. I'm not trying to be lying here. I'm not trying to be some fake phony here. I'm not trying to say I got everything perfect and my system is flawless and I'm a 5 out of 5. Nah. If I had to put a system scale on myself right now out of 5 stars, I'm a 2. I might be a 1.5. I'm hoping by the end of my life to be able to hit to a 4.5 or a 5. It's a long process to get there, and it's gonna be Oreo, you got some work to do. I look at the rooster; he already knows. Dude, they are so aware; they can see so far. It's incredible. I'm on a learning process. The moment that I think that I'm a 38-year-old man at a 5 out of 5 and a 5-star rating, I'm already I'm lying to myself. I got a lot more to keep learning. I got a lot more to keep growing into. I got a lot more research to do. I got a lot more experience to still be able to experience. I got a lot more to still make happening. And it's unfortunate for people that don't get to be able to live their full life, a life where you just die in bed. That's what I would consider a full life. 105 years old and you just don't wake up from sleep. That's life. That's living. Unfortunately, most people don't make it that far. And I hope to be able to try to make it that far. That's why I exercise hardcore and I try to change up my eating. I try to do some healthy stuff for myself to be able to maintain that, because I'm on this mission of self-growth. But at the same time, I'm going to say something. I believe that most people don't make it that far because they already think that they're perfect, so they die young. Because if you're already perfect and you already got it all figured out and you mastered life then, so that means it's time for you to go. I don't think that I've mastered it yet. I think I got a lot more to keep going, because I know I got about 120 years. I'm trying to make it to 120. So I'm almost a third of the way there. Scary to think about. But I'm a third of the way there, knowing that I'm at 1.5, 2%, two stars. Hopefully half my life I'm at 2.5 stars. Hopefully further off in my life, I'm further up. I'm going to be able to be something that from the beginning is unrecognizable. But some people think they got that overnight. They got that in 20 minutes. They're perfect. And that's something that, unfortunately, most cases is because you're running away from something and you're not dealing with it. You're hiding something and you're not just trying to expose it. You're trying to suppress everything about everything going on with you. Like, that's not real. That can't be right. And it is real. It is right. It's there. It's right in your face. Having to be right. I always have to have everything in order and control. Everything perfect. Everything. Always got to be just flawless. Everything around you, just you got the right message all the time. You got the right ways of saying it. And if anybody doesn't agree with you, they're wrong. They're right. Everybody's wrong. You're the only one right. Good luck with that. Thank you. This rooster, he's gonna be the half death of me. I might have to turn him into chicken dinner. He's a little too. There's a thing I'll say. This is something I'll say. Between species, in a free, natural sense, survival is key. So they have to fight each other. But under the leadership of, what I want to say is, a human being, for us to have dominion, order, and control over these animals, it's for us to bring the peace. So the reason this rooster is out, when I see that they start fighting with each other, I'm not going to allow that. I'm not going to accept that. I'm going to say, no, we are not doing that. If I got hens that are fighting, because hens fight sometimes too. Actually, sometimes the hens fight a little bit more than the roosters do. I'm getting in the middle of that. I'm not going to allow them to sit there and fight. When I got cows that are fighting, I got my baby bull and my bull man. They're starting to butt heads because he's starting to get older. I'm not going to allow that. I'm going to get in the middle of that. I'm going to make sure I got to do everything I got to do to make sure that there's peace here. That's the quiet that I notice and I see today, because I am able to get into the middle of not allowing something else to bully something under my management. That's not healthy. That's not going to bring anything of value to our family, to have them fighting against each other. I'm going to do everything. That's the power of proper rearing of chickens. This is why a lot of people, when you got 15, you probably don't see it. But when you have 500, even 200, 250, 250 to 300 ranges, when I started to see this power struggle. And I said, we're not having a power struggle in here, because they started to get into survival mode. And I said, I got the resources for you guys. I'm going to give you what you need. And I'm going to get in the middle of that. I'm going to say, hey, for one, the best case scenario in that scenario is you remove them. And then a new pecking order happens. And then the new leader that happens can be either that a dictator that's like, everybody better listen, or I'm going to take your life. Or there's another leader that comes in that says, let's just keep the peace. So you could literally remove the chicken and then give them a week or so, put them back in. And now there's a new order. And the new order happens that now we're not fighting anymore. No one's fighting. The new leader takes over and says, we're good. And that's what I do. I manage and I maintain and I move stuff around. So if my baby bull really wants to start to give my big man attitude, you're going in the back. You're going to be by yourself. I'll give you a lady back there, but you hanging. You're going to hang with your other brother. That's it. That's where you're going to be. And then when he comes back, the new order comes in, and then we integrate and everything is good to go again. That's the easy way to being able to manage the animals. But this is stuff that at the end of the day, I know a lot about this farm. So I'm doing it. I researched it, and I'm heavily involved with wanting to learn more and more and more about it, because it's fascinating to me. It's super fascinating to know how to be able to. It's easy work when it's calm, when there's order in the court. It's easy, but when you got this bull fighting, this billy goat fighting, you got this billy goat running up and trying to hurt you. You got your bulls trying to run up and hurt you. You got your roosters trying to run up and hurt you. It's not funny. You want to quit instantly. And this is the interesting thing on my look at it all is I'm going to use the dogs the way that they were intended to be able to be used, that we've been breeding for hundreds and thousands of years. Not 100,000 years, but hundreds and thousands of years to be able to make our lives be simple and easy. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be able to experience. And that's why for me, I could see the lens of how to get why most people are struggling with the dog and why it looks like it's protective and guarding and doing these things. Because that's in them to do. It's in them. Because I'm going to make a whole video on this concept of the dogs. It's in them to guard and protect. It's a thing that they just, in reality, straight up like to do. They like it. And when you're reinforcing that, you're telling them to keep going into it, such as give them a treat. This is how I got my dog, to get the cows away from food. Give him a treat, push him away. Give him a treat, push him away. Then he learns, oh, let's keep doing that. I can keep getting a treat. This is dog training 101 right there. And it's creating the dog to want to guard, to want to protect. They like doing it. They get nervous because most dogs today don't have the, say, backbone in them, but they like, Oreo, can you give me a second? Come here. They like to do that. And then there's a whole other part of most of these dogs they like to do. A lot of these dogs like to hunt. Oh, sorry. I'll say hi. A lot of these dogs, get down. A lot of these dogs like to hunt. A lot of these dogs like to chase. A lot of these dogs have certain things in them. And you got to find that thing that dog does and let them do that. And I'm telling you, you're going to see something completely different. But for me, still, I'm not just your do nothing type person in a sense of no activities. I like to get up and go. So for someone that thinks that you could just tell the dog to shut up and sit in the house and be quiet all day, that's why I know for a fact there's differences here, that not everybody is right. Not everybody is perfect. Because a system for a person like me, such as balanced dog trading, doesn't work for my system. A system of sit there, shut up because I said so. A system of never allowing the dog to be able to chase. A system of never being allow a dog to express the control over its genetics of what it needs and what it desires. It's not going to work for me. But will it work for somebody else that doesn't care, that looks at the dog in a sense of it's an object and not caring about what's the unseen? You're going to get all the results in the world, but I care about the unseen. I care about that. I care about the overall well-being of the entire experience, not just mine. I care about the animal's overall experience as well. Everything involved, everybody around. And someone could say, oh, I'm not even going to, I can't even talk about farming stuff to people that have never experienced it. It's pointless. You leave a comment of, that looks wrong, but I've never owned livestock. That's like, I can't communicate to you. I would want you to you need real world experience to understand it. You need to put yourself in it. Otherwise, remove yourself from the conversation. Because that's why, for me, to even try to talk to somebody about a working dog in a farm sense, it's pointless. It's pointless. You're looking at the wrong directions. You're looking in the wrong places. Because if you don't have any experience, you have no idea. Promise me. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, you don't know, because I didn't grow up doing this. I'm in it today. This isn't what I did all the time. I'm in it today. This is where I am. And I thought before, even I got to the farm, a reason I got to the farm was to raise animals for food. And I was watching those documentaries on those meat bird buildings and the pig buildings and how they're raising them. I'm like, that's disgusting. That's not right. And then I did more research when I started getting those birds myself to raise for food. And I was like, that's actually what they were made to do. They're actually those, like the chickens in the chicken houses. They have been genetically bred, modified so much that is what they are supposed to live in and under those standards. They are supposed to live in their own poop for their entire life. They are supposed to live with no air, no sun, because they couldn't survive in it. They can't survive in it. You can attempt to, try to, but most cases they don't live good. They live really bad. They just can't make it. Those birds get so big that I've got videos of it, but they're so big that they can't even run. They're just hobbling, and they're no longer a chicken. They don't know how to keep themselves safe. They can't roost. They can't jump because they can't even barely walk. So my lens changed when I started working with it. My outside lens was, that's wrong, that's not right. But when I started to have real world experience, I was like, I see what they're doing. It makes total sense. The pigs, I don't approve of it, but I don't disapprove of it either because it makes sense. It's something I want a lot of people to really think about. Because you don't agree with what they do, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know what their, say, audience is looking for. You know what you're looking for. And this is why for me, I don't put me on everybody. I give a message of, you got to figure it out. It's you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, do this next, do this next, do this next, do this next. No, it's you. It's you. And others, that's what they have to do because they don't know how not to be that way. All they know is, I need to order a list. I need a guideline to go by every day, and I got to do it like this. If you're doing that, you're not being yourself. You're being something else. And it's going to look cute and pretty for a while, but it's going to start to backslide. It's pretty much always going to start to backslide. And that's the main thing that I've noticed about what it is that I do, is I'm no longer backsliding because I'm being me. And I want to be able to allow more people to be able to experience that, to get away from under what someone else wants you to do. Get away from being under a bully's control and stand up for yourself and say, I'm no longer going to do this anymore. I'm going to be me. You're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I know I need to do. And then you will find the real help that you're looking for. The real people will come around you in that sense. But when you want someone to tell you what to do, you're going to keep finding those people. They're going to keep telling you how you should eat, how you should dress, how you should wear your clothes, how you do your hair, what you need to do with your lips, what you need to do with this, what car you need to drive, what kind of exercise you need to do. If you're still looking to live life like that, they're going to come find you. That's what's going to find you. When you decide to say, you know what, I'm going to wear what I want to wear. I'm going to go where I want to go. I'm going to do what I want to do. You're going to find those people. For me, that's how my YouTube is. The minimalistic people. I'll do a video with Kahi in the house here soon. You'll see. I'm minimalistic as all could be. Almost to the point that folks walk in and like, buddy, you live here? Like, yes, I live here because I don't need nothing. I don't need anything. I'm happy with just the basics, with just enough. I don't need no more. But everyone else is telling me, oh, Mark, you need this. You need a painting. You need this next to the door. You need this. You need that. You need this. And I'm like, no. And since I've decided to say no, the other people come to me. But Mark, you don't need that. I'm like, okay, thank you. I know I don't need that. I know I don't want that. And that's me now making the decisions on my own of knowing what it is that what I'm looking for, not what they want from me.